everyone. Hi there from Hero Family. I am Niranjan Gupta. I am the Chief Financial Officer for Hero Motocorp. And it's my pleasure today to be in conversation with Monica. She is a CFO for Hero Colombia. Monica, this is Coffee with Niranjan. So here you are. And let me start by just asking you to introduce yourself to all of us. Over to you, Monica.
Hi, Niranjan. Thank you very much for the introduction. Hi to all the Hero family around the world. I'm very pleased to be part of this Coffee with Niranjan today. Hopefully, we will make this session very fun for everybody to hear us and be inspired by our conversation.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, Monica, what we are going to talk about today is the bias around numbers, and there is a bias that people have that men are generally better in numbers than women, and that also then gets borne out that women cannot succeed in STEM stream and many other things. So that's what we're going to talk about. But before we come to that, let me more generally ask you, so what are the biases that you have faced in your life, and how have you overcome them?
Well, Niranjan, being a woman is already a bias in the business environment, I believe, around the world. Nowadays, things have changed, but when I was starting, obviously, I was younger than today. So being young, a woman, and it's gonna sound funny, but being blonde as well, it was a bias for me in order to achieve what I was expecting of my career. How I overcome all that bias with a lot of effort. I had to keep reminding myself that I needed to be confident in what I wanted to achieve. I knew from the beginning of my career where I wanted to be. So I was reminding myself. It was not easy every time. There were moments in which I forgot and I was feeling frustrated, and also I cried and I felt like I didn't were able to make it. But also there were other moments in which I got the strength inside of me, and I found that strength to keep working on it. I don't want to use the word struggle, because now when I look back, I see my ride was very fun. I'm very pleased from what I achieved and where I come from, but of course there were struggle times at the moment.
Fantastic. I mean, it's so inspirational to hear your story, and you are right. When we go through troubled waters, sometimes we feel painful about it. But when you've navigated through those, then you get a sense of joy.
Yes.
Because there's no joy in riding through calm waters. When the waters are troubled, there's a sense of achievement that you actually get. But fantastic, Monica. It's very inspirational. And coming back to the numbers, I actually get very surprised when people talk about that men are better in numbers than women. My experience hasn't been that. But yeah, I can see there is a bias, because people know scientists, mathematicians like Newton, Einstein, Turing, they're all men. Yeah. But people don't talk about women who are famous and who've been great mathematicians. I mean, if I were to talk about Katherine Johnson, I don't know how many people will be aware. She was an American mathematician. She actually calculated the trajectory for Apollo 11 flight, which actually put man on moon. So she can be credited with that, and she actually got award for being a mathematician and physician. Similarly, if you look at, I think it is Sofia, Russian mathematician. There was Mariam, which is Iranian mathematician. There's Shakuntala Devi, who was the Indian mathematician. And Monica, you'll maybe surprised to know she was actually known as human computer, and she was put in Guinness Book of World Records. And the fifth female that I know who's very famous and who's good in numbers is one lady called Monica, and she happens to be CFO of Hero. So, so, so got
Oh, I'm overwhelmed by that. You know,
so
I blushed.
so got so many. So honestly, I mean, I feel that yes, there is a bias, and I think we need to really we really take that down. It's happening already. Uh, and I'm sure with the names that I've been able to rattle down, people will now Google and find out. So, Monica, what's your comment on these numbers? I mean, you are a CFO. You've dealt with numbers. For CFOs, numbers is like bread and butter, day in, day out. You deal with that. So how do you feel about when if somebody says that men are better in numbers, or if you've heard somebody else saying, what would be your comment on that?
Well, Niranjan, first of all, I don't think I have the bias of the numbers. And I don't think I grew up in my environment or school or university with that feeling of men being better with numbers than women. Um, but what I do believe is that there are people that have bias with the numbers. So
Yeah.
they struggle with numbers because they fear numbers, you know. They give so much power to the number that probably they get blocked when you're speaking regarding a P&L, a balance sheet, or any number at all. I was never biased by numbers, but the funny thing was that when I was growing up, I never thought I would be a number woman. I was totally on the opposite side of being artist, painting, being creative. I believe I'm a creative person, and what I have done is that I merge my creative side with the numbers. So I try to be creative with numbers and try to bring everything more easily to people to understand numbers in a normal language, because normally accountant people, they speak accountant language, and normal people that have not studied accounting, they don't understand anything. So,
Absolutely, Monica.
yeah,
I think very well said that numbers can remain just numbers, but if you exercise your creativity, numbers tell a story. And I
yes,
think that's the key part, isn't it?
yes, that's the key part. They tell a story. You have numbers around your life 24/7. It's like you cannot live without numbers. That's my perspective. Everything around has a number in it. So numbers are very important. But what I will say is that I don't see myself as a mathematician, like you said. For me, like you said, numbers are easy, are like butter and bread. And probably because I don't give that much power to the fear of the number, and that's what made me achieve what I wanted to be a CFO.
Absolutely fantastic. And actually, coming to think of it, I do feel that biases are actually some kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. So you start saying that this is the bias, and you feed that into people at their childhood, and then they hear from others, and then they become fearful about that, and actually it creeps in, and then people start saying, "Hey, I told you so." This is not the
Yes,
bias. Now it's happened because you fed that from the beginning, and I
yes,
think that's why it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And you are absolutely right that the entire fear, entire bias has to go away. And the moment you start looking at the world and ignoring all kinds of biases, then that block doesn't come, and you can be successful at anything.
yes, Niranjan. In fact, the biggest bias is the bias word per se. And in anything in your life, when you think of a bias, and you give power to that bias, then you already have the bias in your life, and it's very difficult to overpass the bias. So the mind is very powerful. You give power to anything that you don't think you can't achieve, or that you don't think you are worth of it, and then it will be very difficult for you to achieve it. But when you don't give that much power, when you think you can do things, when you are confident on how can you get where you want to go, obviously you struggle, like you said. Now, it's like there is a saying that is like, nothing worth having comes easy. When something is worth it, then you have a little pain, you have a little struggle, you have to work for it. But don't think it as a bias, think it as normal life. Everything that you want to achieve takes a little effort from your side to get it.
Fantastic, Monica. And I don't want another bias to creep in that only men interview women. So therefore, we can have coffee with Monica. So you have any questions for me? You can interview me, grill me.
Great. This is the best part of the interview. So yes, of course, I have a big question for you, because this is something that since the day one we met here in Colombia, when you came and you interviewed me for the position, um, I got this feeling that you are very supportive of women. And then during all this time that I've been in the Hero family, I've seen how you have increased the number of women on great positions, on positions that are um, um, giving delivering a lot of good information or analysis and managerial positions in finance in India, and also in Germany with Margaret, and you have been very supportive with me here in Colombia. So what makes Niranjan inside? What is inside Niranjan that it's making him being so supportive with women and wants to be that change that the world is needing right now, to consider more women in positions of leadership?
Monica, now you are making me blush. So,
That was my time.
so okay. From my very beginning, honestly, my inspiration has been my mother. And right from the beginning, she overcame actually a lot of biases in our community. Back in those days, women wouldn't be working; they were supposed to be housewives, right? And here was my mom actually getting into business, doing various things, juggling all the balls together in one go, and never giving up. So she's been my biggest inspiration, and probably that's where it comes from. That it's a support, it's the inspiration which I've received from her. Maybe that's there in my subconscious mind. It's not that I do anything consciously that I'm trying to overdo or trying to do. It's just coming naturally, and maybe it comes from there. But yeah, I feel very proud, honestly, that in finance, where we were 3% gender diversity 5 years back, we are now 25% for a certain level and above. And I when I see women going to plants, actually heading plant finance in India, or like you in Colombia, or Margaret in TCG as a finance controller, and there are many. I mean, we got more and more bright women coming in front. And honestly, profits will come, profits will go, all the other achievements. But this is one achievement that I'm truly proud of. And I would really would like to call it my legacy.
And I feel very proud to be part of that achievement of yours.
Fantastic, Monica. So why don't we now, because I know we can go on and on and on. I think the conversation is so fluid, and we love it. But if I were to ask you a last question, is what would be your advice finally to all the young women who want to make a fantastic career? What would be your advice to them on breaking the bias, overcoming the bias? What would be your final words of wisdom to them?
Well, Niranjan, my advice will be to be confident. You have to be confident that you can achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. That there is no bias that you cannot overcome. That you might struggle, that you might face difficulties, like with any other process in your life. So don't put a label on the bias that you are facing because you're a woman. Men also struggle with numbers. Men also struggle with vulnerability, with emotions. So we as human beings, we struggle. We have different personalities and different paths in life that we need to overcome. So just be confident, just keep trusting that the process will bring you the results that you want to achieve, and be happy and have fun in the process, because you only live once and you have to make the path happy. You have to wake up every morning thinking, I will make it. Even if you are on the top of what you were expecting to achieve, you will be wanting to achieve another thing. So it's a non-ending process, and you need to keep confident in that process in your life, and remove the word bias from your head and from everything in your life that you are doing, because all of us are capable to achieve whatever we want to achieve.
Fantastic, Monica. Fantastic. On that note, let me again say thank you to you for coming on this show and enlightening all of us. And I'm really glad to have you as part of the finance team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Niranjan, for inviting me to have this coffee today with you, and to be able to raise our voices together, to inspire other women, and to drive change in this subject of diversity and inclusion around the world. Thank you very much. I really appreciate a lot having you with me today.
All right, Monica. Then let's all together break the bias.
Thank you, Niranjan. Let's break the bias.
Thank you.